Okay, I'm hoping my computer won't be too loud because it is whirring and whooshing around trying to export a studio vlog for you. So if you hear that noise, that is what is going on in the background. Right now though, I'm coming to you very chill, vlog style, laid back, just a little chatty video to talk about my October art challenge plans. You know, I was going to include this in a studio vlog and then I just decided, you know what, let's make it its own video. We can talk about art supplies, we can talk about prompts and finishing a challenge, and I can share a couple little tips with you because I kind of have like a little list going in my sketchbook. So I just thought this could be a fun little chatty video of its own kind. So yeah, grab your sketchbook, your pen, and let's do some brainstorming. Let's talk about what we're gonna be doing for October. I wanna start off right from the get-go in saying that I am not gonna be talking about the Inktober drama. I just don't even want to get into it. I think most of us in the art community already know about it, and all I will say is that it's kind of a bummer, obviously, that this is the situation. I do take plagiarism claims very seriously, as anyone should. You know, there's still two sides to every story, and I think we're missing a lot of information still. You know, the cancel culture is just so intense these days, and we as the art community, we're so quick to immediately cancel somebody without having the full picture, the full story. And I still think that there's a lot of information that we don't have. So that said, I feel like you can't really make a judgment on it. Anywho, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not getting into the Inktober drama. Everyone knows what's going on about it. If you're looking for an Inktober drama video, this is not the one for you. I'm gonna be talking about something else. I technically participate in Inktober in a sense that I do a daily art challenge, typically using ink, liquid inks. I've done watercolor in the past, and sometimes I throw watercolor in as well. But I've actually never done the official Inktober prompts. I think they're a little vague, at least for me. I don't really feel particularly inspired when I look at the Inktober prompts, and I've definitely talked about this in previous videos, so it's no mystery. The past couple years, I've actually done Mav Graves' Drawlloween prompts. I think her prompts are really fun, and any excuse for me to do some sort of like Halloween spooky thing, I'm gonna do. But we'll get more into that in a second. But I wanted to just preface that this is not gonna be about the Inktober drama. I don't wanna talk about that, okay? I just wanna make art, okay? Can we just talk about making art, doing some sort of challenge for October? Because that's really what it's all about, right? I mean, like at the core of Inktober, it should be about making art and doing the challenge. And the best part of it, and the thing I think we should all keep in mind, is that it brought the whole art community together to produce tons of artwork and illustrations, and for us to support each other and find new artists and discover your style and challenge yourself. And that's what's important here. And yeah, let's get into it. The primary focus of this video is that I wanted to share a couple of tricks with you, or my tips and tricks regarding a art challenge, completing an art challenge. I have completed Inktober in previous years. I've done it a couple of times, but I've definitely had years where I don't finish, and I'll get into that as well. Over the years of doing it, I feel like I've been doing some sort of October challenge for a long time, I've compiled a little list. Let me just refer to my list here. I just thought I would just share some of these little pointers with you, and I feel like this could be applied to any kind of art challenge. Obviously, I host the April art challenge in April, so I've hosted it, I've done them, so I feel like I have enough experience to share some little pointers with you. Okay, number one, in regards to doing an art challenge. Number one is why. Why are you doing an art challenge? And I think that this is important because you need some starting factor. Why are you doing it? What is kind of like the motivation behind it? So be sure you know that going into it, because obviously doing an art challenge is a pretty big commitment. There's gotta be some reason why. Are you trying to pick up a new art skill? Are you trying to practice something? Are you just trying to produce more art, beef up your portfolio? Maybe you are trying to gain social media following through sharing more artwork. That's totally valid. There could be tons of reasons, but I think knowing that why going into it will really help you kind of stay motivated throughout the whole thing. And maybe even like jotting it down somewhere, like if it's in the sketchbook or whatever substrate you're gonna be using, kind of having it around as like your reminder of why it is that you're doing it really helps. So for me this year is just to take some time to make art for myself, which I haven't done in so long. I am, you know, taking a break from doing the Art Snacks videos, and hopefully by the time Drawlloween starts, I'll be tying the little bow on my online class, and that will be finished, and I will have really some more time to just make art for myself. So for me, making art that I want to do, whatever I'm inspired to create or make, I'm making art for myself, because sometimes the best work that I create, is when I'm just enjoying the process of making art and just having fun. So yeah, know why you're doing it going in. All right, tip number 2 is what I'm just calling the what. What prompt list are you doing? What supplies are you using? You kind of have to think about what it is that is inspiring you. And obviously that's really important. I think choosing a prompt list, and there's so many out there. There's so many different ones out there. You know, just finding something you can search on Pinterest, you can search on Google. Sometimes just your favorite artists that you follow on social media might have their own lists. Obviously, Mab Grave's Drawlloween is out there, and she's gone above and beyond this year in making kind of different versions of the list. There's kind of like a daily prompt list. There's a every other day prompt list, and I think she has even just like a weekly prompt. So there's kind of different like speeds, so to speak, if you didn't want to do like a full set every day, which is really great. Another great prompt list is, I believe it's Peachtober. I think that's what she calls it. Furry Little Peach has a really great prompt list. I'll put a link down below, but she has really great prompts that are like really straight, short, and like to the point, like bam, 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 which might be really inspiring for you. So I think finding a prompt list that inspires you right off the bat is really important. Obviously, you don't want to pick a prompt list that you're not inspired to work on or that doesn't immediately give you ideas. That's just going to make you get kind of frustrated and stuck along the way. So along with choosing what prompt list you're gonna do, what are the supplies you're gonna use? I already know I'm doing Drawlloween, talked about that 1,000 times now. As for the supplies that I'm gonna use, I am not entirely sure yet. I do know that I'm probably gonna reach for my favorites. So it's probably gonna be some sort of brush pen. I like the Copic Nylon Gas Infused brush pen. I probably will use just some detail brushes and some liquid acrylic ink because that is also my jam. I might throw some watercolor in there. I'm definitely a fan of using grays and dark blues and greens, kind of stuff that pairs well with different kind of muted ink colors that I have that I really like. So I feel like that's probably gonna be the supplies that I'll use, but I will take the time to actually narrow down what specific materials and supplies that it is that I'm gonna use. Number 3, what is the format or substrate, basically? Yeah, this kind of pairs well with your supplies as well, obviously. So what's the format or substrate that you're gonna use to create this challenge? And I've done different things in the past. Sometimes I just have one dedicated sketchbook where it's each page I dedicate a day, basically, and I complete it like that. I've done it where I've worked in a couple of different sketchbooks. I've done it where I just totally fly by the seat of my pants and I have like a sketchbook, and then I also just have loose paper and I'll do like loose illustrations. I did that one year and I realized it kind of like wasn't my thing, and I prefer kind of being more in a sketchbook or a book. It's really up to you. What's the format that you're going to do this in? Are you going to use a sketchbook? Is it going to be just single loose sheets of a substrate? Are you doing little miniature canvases? Are you gonna make a zine? What are you gonna do? A mini journal? There's 1,000 different ways. But having the format going into it that really pairs with your supplies. So maybe it's that what supplies are you doing kind of pairs well with what's the format as well. And I think the format too, and I made this its own point because I think the format can be a big part of the motivation and what can inspire you. So sometimes buying yourself a new little sketchbook, a little treat yourself, or maybe grabbing that sketchbook that has been sitting on your shelf for a long time that you don't know what to do with. Sometimes having that kind of new material or something that you haven't worked with in a long time, or that you've been, holding out or saving for, can really get you inspired or motivated to make art, because you're like, oh, I have this new thing, I need to break this in, I need to use it. I think the format is really important. For me, my format this year, I've decided I'm going to work in this little guy. I have my little sketchbook. This is the Strathmore Mixed Media softcover sketchbook, which I've enjoyed quite a bit, and I have some things going, but we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So I'm gonna be working in this sketchbook, and I also have a second format, which brings me to point number 4, which is have a B plan. Having a backup plan, I think, is really important, because you might be super squared away. You know what pen you're gonna use, what sketchbook you're gonna use, what prompt list you're gonna do, and you get 3 days in and you're like, and it's either because you're burned out, or you're not inspired anymore, or you're overwhelmed, or there could be a million reasons why you're tapping out, basically. Having a B plan, something that's maybe of a smaller scale or a simplified version of your A plan, can really help kind of keep you on track and help you continue on with the challenge. The B plan can also be especially helpful when you get about halfway through the month, because I will say when you hit about day 14 to 16 is when things get really challenging. It's either where you are just really burned out or you're trying to catch up. That's usually when I get around the teens, the early mid-teens, I'm kind of like, oh God, I'm behind 4 days. I don't know what to do now. Or ugh, I give up because I've fallen too behind. That's usually about the point. So having that B plan in place, I might go, okay, I'm done working in my sketchbook. This is my A plan, is the sketchbook. But you know what, let me move to my B plan, which is a smaller scale, something a little bit more manageable for me. And my B plan this year is actually gonna be to create a zine. So I already have a background of a zine ready to go. This is from a previous old zine that I had started a long time ago. I thought, you know what, this would look really cool if I had created little black and white illustrations and made that into the zine and just made like a whole like little inky zine sort of thing. Obviously, because the format is smaller, and I think that that's key with having a B plan, is something that's smaller maybe than what you were doing, a little less ambitious. Something that's more reasonable to complete can really be helpful. So my B plan is this little guy here, where I would switch over to working on the prompts at a much smaller scale, plopping them in here. So they would be like quarter size illustrations going into this guy. And you know what else too? The thing with the B plan, maybe it's not something that you immediately like fully default to. Maybe it's you just take 1 or 2 days out of the prompts or of your schedule to just do your B plan format, if that makes any sense. So it's like, maybe I've done 2 weeks in my sketchbook, I'm feeling a little burned out, maybe I'm a couple days behind. Hey, you know what? Let me just catch up. I'm 4 days behind. Let me catch up and I'll do 4 days in my mini zine B format, you know, and just knock out 4 little guys. Then I'm caught up, I'm ready to go, and I can jump back into my A plan if I wanted to, and then continue on with the challenge. Yeah, kind of a random one there, little pointer, but I think having a B plan is both helpful and it's also realistic. All right, tip number 5. This is my last pointer. It is, don't be so hard on yourself. So look, let's say you only did 2 weeks of the challenge. Let's say you only did 5 days of your prompt list. Maybe you only did 1 day of your prompt list. Well, guess what? You still did something, right? I think that that's the most important thing. You can't beat yourself up because you didn't complete the full 30 days or 31 days or whatever it is. Even if you only did a couple of days, you still made more art. You probably brainstormed more than you have in however long. Even if maybe you were trying a different medium or a different format, you experimented with something new. So usually, even if you just dabble into a challenge a little bit, you're still probably gonna be walking away with some sort of learning experience that you can either apply into your artwork or your art making practices. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't finish or you only do a couple of days. It's an art challenge. Nobody cares, okay? It's fine. You just do you. You just do you. All right, so that said, I'm gonna show you now overhead, and I just pointed to my lamp. Why did I point to my lamp? My camera is gonna be over here. I'm gonna show you now overhead of kind of just some things that I have done to kind of prepare a little bit. I think preparing for an art challenge is also really, really helpful, whether it's sketches or brainstorming some ideas. Did I have that in something? No, I didn't. Well, in general, I guess maybe that's a 6th tip, I don't know. Preparation is also really helpful, and as my dad always told me growing up,
preparation is the key to success.
All right, so I've got you overhead now, so we can kind of take a little sneaky peek into the sketchbook that I've been working on and some kind of prep work I've been doing. Also just wanted to show you kind of this little zine as well. This is just like your good old 8-fold zine. This is a very standard format for making a little mini zine. You can really find the tutorial or template of this anywhere, but I've already done the prep work of this, of kind of putting in the background and adding some little kind of bits and bobs here and there, some oil pastel, a little bit of ink here and there, but it's ready. You can see where I could kind of come in and put in little illustrations kind of all over, and it could look really cool. That's my B plan, so I'll put that off to the side, and it's protective wax paper. And then this is the sketchbook that I plan on using, and I've already kind of started to do some prep work in it. This was originally my little book of horrors that I have since actually covered up, and I can't remember, I think I did that on a studio vlog. I don't entirely remember, but here's all my crazy stickers that I've kind of covered in the front. I had, oh yeah, no, I did a little art with me, or sketchbook play video with me. That's right, I forgot that I did that. Yeah, so you have already seen me kind of do some of the work in here. I've kind of already cracked the seal on it it a little bit, but you can see I have some sketches starting to happen. So here's kind of just some general notes, and this is what I usually like to start with, and you can see I have my little notes for the video here, which is just kind of all over the place. But I took Mapgrave's Drawlloween prompts and kind of wrote them all down. And even though I could have just printed out the prompt list, sometimes just physically writing them can be really helpful in just kind of stirring up ideas, starting to brainstorm. And then I can kind of come in with a pencil, and I always add like little notes. Like if I have any like quick ideas of what I could draw or illustrate, I'll come in and add that here. So as you can see, I have a couple already crossed out because I've already started sketching. So when I say preparation is the key to success, it really, really is. And I've already gone back through these prompts and I've started to sketch stuff out. So I wanted to show you a couple of my sketches. The first one was for werewolf, and I got really weird with this one. I kind of did this like weird full body crazy guy, and I just was kind of like having fun kind of drawing a little bit with my non-dominant hand and just kind of being weird. And I really love adding weird long fingers and arms to things, which is always really fun. And also I was already thinking about how I might kind of finish this. And let me pull out a different sketchbook here. And I thought that he might look cool if he was done like really messy and kind of weird. Let me see, and I'm referencing a sketch that I had done. I kind of had this in mind, which was just like a really messy sketch that I had done while listening to Pet Sematary, which I just recently finished. Oh my gosh, so good. I thought that this kind of style would play really well in this sort of sketch. So I kind of already have an idea of what it is that I'm gonna do. And that right there also leads me to my supplies that I definitely wanna use. You know, this is a little bit of watercolor and liquid acrylic ink. So I definitely wanna put that into my prompts for this year. Moving on to the second one was pumpkin. And I kind of had this idea of doing little mushrooms kind of growing or coming out of a pumpkin. So I had just a couple of like initial idea sketches, and then I kind of landed on the actual sketch down here. So this is like ready to go. Like give me a little detail brush and some ink, and this bad boy is ready to get inked out. So it feels like I've already made a lot of progress just in getting these kind of really simple sketches done, because you know the best part is coming in and inking stuff out, right? So once the sketch is done, the hardest part's over. You're just coloring or outlining things. The changeling, which is interesting, I didn't actually know what a changeling was. I had to look it up, and it helped having, again, Mab's little inspirational one sheets that she kind of created really helped. I had initially created this little like ghost pram sort of thing, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm not super crazy about it, but maybe once I ink it, I'll like it a little bit more. I don't know. I drew a second one instead here, this like little spooky baby with wings, because I thought that was kind of interesting. Sort of fits with the idea of a changeling a little bit. Again, I think these will look better once they're inked out, but at least I have a couple of options going there. Poison, I did a really simple little poison bottle, which you can kind of already see here on this page. And I think this one is really gonna be all about the detail in both kind of the tag and the liquid as well. And even just having the sketches kind of done really is kind of helping me decide what batch of supplies to use, but I'm really trying to be kind of loose on my supplies this year, which I kind of already had done. I was working on my D&D character, who happens to be a witch, actually. Let me see, do I have that sketchbook in here? Yes, I do. Let's see. So I kind of was doing two birds with one stone on that, in that I feel like my D&D character sort of fits this vibe. I'm still kind of working on her a little bit, but this for me was definitely my prompt for witch. I still have a lot more detail and stuff that I want to add in. But yeah, I felt like this kind of, again, two birds, one stone. I was working on my D&D character and getting the prompt done. And hey, anytime that you can do that, like double down on something, if the prompt fits for some other project that you're working on or whatever, sometimes that can be really helpful as well. And then vampire, I had a little vampire head sketch over here, which you may have also already seen, and I just think he's really cool, and I think he's gonna be a lot of fun to ink out. All those little like wrinkles in his face and lines and stuff I think will be so much fun with ink. Just looking at that, and I have to cross out these two here, I've already done a week's worth of sketches, so I'm in a really, really good spot. And it's what, September? It's September 20th at the time that I'm filming this, which you'll probably see this just before October 1st. But getting ahead on those sketches really, really helps and can just really kind of jumpstart you quite a bit. Preparation, guys. Preparation is the key to success to get you going. Whew. All right. Just a big old pile of sketchbooks here. No big deal. Added to the never-ending giant pile of things I haven't finished anyways. So there you have it, guys. I hope that that was helpful, just kind of sharing a couple of tips and tricks with you and just kind of chatting and sharing with you my plans for October and Drawlloween. I'm really excited, and again, it kind of comes back to my why I'm doing it. I'm just excited to make some art for myself and kind of get back into drawing and working with ink. You know, it's a medium that I just really love and love to draw with, so I'm just excited to like kind of get back into that and fill up my sketchbook with some good spooky stuff. I think it'll be really fun. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you, or at least just entertaining. Let me know in the comments down below what prompt list maybe you guys are doing or what challenge you're doing for October. I'd love to hear your plans. We'll just chat in the comments, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye!